Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods. I hope everybody's doing good. It is Taco Tuesday on a short work week. Monday's already in the book. And take a look right down there, people. Look at that. We are 100 days, 10 hours, 2 minutes, and 35 seconds away from kickoff of the 2029 season. You know, come 10 hours from now, it's going to be under 100 days. Are you getting excited yet? I know I'm really excited. You know, and unfortunately, this is that time of year where things are, you know, bullshit time. You know, it's all speculation and people are trying to get their, you know, hype teams and stuff and hype up and say that this team's going to be great, only to find out that they're ass during the season. They're going to start talking about the coaches that should be on the hot seat and the teams that have really helped themselves in free agency and stuff. To find out that that guy who was on the hot seat ends up being coach of the year. You know, like Jason Garrett did one time. Or those teams that, you know, went all in free agency, like the Commanders every year, crash and burn. Or like the Denver Broncos last year. We all talk and speculate because football, it's not an exact science. It doesn't matter. You can look at stuff on paper and it looks dead to rights, the right answer. And things defy logic. Guys' careers that we thought were over, revitalize. Guys we thought were great, like I said, ass. And that's the great thing about football and why we love it. It's so unpredictable, or the writers, the scripters are just really good at getting us drawn into the show that is the NFL. For the Cowboys, of course, always on everybody's tongue. If there's a player out there disgruntled and wanting to get paid, automatically they'll talk about him. Oh, proposed trade to the Cowboys, Ed Oliver yesterday. Ed Oliver says, if you're not showing me the money, I don't want to talk. He wants to get paid even though he only has 14 and a half sacks as a top 10 pick. And of course, that means the Cowboys would want him. You know how many times we've heard Giovanni and Clowney to the Cowboys? They're names you know that people get hyped about because they know the name. But the reality is sometimes they're not that good. Or the game is passing them by. They've gotten old. They're not the same player. Remember when we had Eddie George? Oh, man, Cowboys are signing Eddie George. Well, Eddie George is at the position where Zeke Elliott is now. Great name. We all knew Eddie George and everything he did with the Titans. But the reality was, he had gotten old. So this is the taste of the season right now. We're getting a little taste because of OTAs and seeing the guys on the field before they break before summer camp. Mike McCarthy, my man Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy seems like he is literally on cloud nine. I honestly believe that Kellen Moore going has made Mike McCarthy's life that much better. You see the bounce in the step. You see the joy on his face. You see him relax. He is a totally different person right now. Here's what he said, because this is where it's getting to be good, because the Cowboys seem to be making championship type moves, well-run organizational moves. They're not reaching and grabbing and overspending. They're being methodical. They're looking at places of need and they're filling the holes, from Mozzie Smith on the defensive line to knowing we need better receivers, so we get Brandon Cook, understanding that, Anthony Brown is okay, but we need better than okay because they're not throwing towards Diggs. That guy is just as important as Diggs. They go out and they get that guy. They understand that Micah Parsons could be a defensive player of the year, but he needs help in the middle of not allowing that quarterback to step up. If you can eat up just a yard of space, then that means that quarterback can't step up and be comfortable in that pocket, which leaves him out there as easy pickings, low-hanging fruit. All these things the Cowboys have done, as opposed to last year, deconstructing the team to save money. They've revamped the roster. Now, Mike McCarthy, on Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore, they've been everything we thought they would be. The professionalism is top-notch. They both have made an impact already. And that, my friends, is what you want. You want those guys to come in who have a pedigree, have winning in their DNA, have been places that have been successful, and they can point to guys and say, hey, here's what we did. We were Tom Brady. We were with New England. And that, my friends, is contagious. Now, it's amazing to me because here it was on Get Up. Get Up was talking about, can the Cowboys miss the playoffs? And I don't know what happened to Chris Canty. I don't know if he's a jilted Cowboy player, because he ended up going from the Cowboys to the Giants. I've got his autograph on a hat. I don't know if ESPN has made him the anti-Dallas Cowboys player. But what you notice about Chris Canty is his voice has gotten louder, more aggressive, angrier about the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just not normal. He literally is that guy. He is like the trolls out there. He is just trying to, take the Cowboys to the woodshed. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, playoffs, right? There's 7 spots in the NFC, 7 spots, right? There's 16 teams. Are we honestly going to say that the Cowboys are middle of the pack with what they have there? It's hard to believe that there would be 7 teams, and things change because we don't know. It's hard to believe that there's going to be 7 teams better than the Cowboys going into the play to make the playoffs. Maybe you look and say the Eagles are better, but I look and say the Eagles have 7 starters that they've lost their offensive and defensive coordinators, and they probably won't have the same luck that they had last year. They're not playing as many patsies as they did last year. Their schedule is tougher, and the way it's laid out is tougher. There will be some down games and times. They're still a great team. Don't get pissed off at me. They're a great team. But they may not have as much success this year because of those factors. Because everybody looks and says, we want to knock your ass off now. And there's a book out on Jalen Hurts and what he did. Defenses are going to try to counter that. So all these things are factors that are going into this season. All right, so with all those things happening, look and say the Eagles. Okay, we can say the Eagles are better. You could probably say San Francisco is better, although you got questions at quarterback. And an aging roster that some of the guys you wonder if they'll make it through. Trent Williams, if Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy for another season and things and so on. And they can't seem to keep a quarterback healthy for whatever reason. It's like, is there something in the water with quarterbacks out there? They just can't keep them healthy. And you say, okay, you look at the Cowboys and the talent they have. I understand. You say, people say, well, the Detroit Lions, and then all of a sudden now we've got the giver for the coach now for the Lions, according to some of these Pro Football Focus power rankings and things. Maybe the Lions will be better than they were last year. Maybe New Orleans with Derek Carr might be better than last year. But you can't look at somebody like, say, Tampa Bay or Carolina or Atlanta and say they're going to be, great teams. I'm sorry, they have some real problems. I don't look and say Washington with Sam Howell, even though they did beat the Cowboys and the Eagles, but it's division games. And the Giants, I'm still not sold on Daniel Jones. And you look out west, okay, Seattle's good. Arizona, the Rams, they're rebuilding. You go up and say Minnesota is what they are. They can't play in prime time. And most of the Cowboys games are all prime time. The Bears, maybe they're improved. The Packers, I don't see where they make a major leap from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. So you have to take and say there's 7 teams right there that are going to be better than the Cowboys to miss. Let's listen in to Chris Canty and how angry he is.
That's there. We got it. We're going to bring it back.
Yeah, I said it in a minute, bro.
If they don't make it, I got it.
Yeah, I said it in a minute. I mean, the two
NFC,
here's real quick. The two issues that I have with the Dallas Cowboys: the quarterback turns the ball over way too much. 35 turnovers in 31 games last year in last 2 years for Dak Prescott. The other issue, the head coach. And his new philosophy on offense is absolutely laughable. He got rid of Kellen Moore because he said he wants his team to run the football more so his defense doesn't tire out and so they can win games. Well, guess what? Kellen Moore, over the last couple of years with Mike McCarthy, this team is tops when it comes to win percentage, when the team has a lead. So maybe there was a method to the madness with Kellen Moore lighting up the scoreboard.
I agree.
You think Mike McCarthy taking on more responsibility as the offensive play caller as well as the head coach with game management. If you think that's a good thing, stop me right now and say that. Because I don't believe that, and that's why I believe the Dallas Cowboys are due for a regression.
Let me stop there for a second. How about, you see the anger? Damn, Chris. But wait a minute. Is it conceivable that Kellen Moore's play calling, his combination routes and so on, were part of the reason why they ended up having some of these turnovers? As opposed to saying, we don't have to get it all. Let's take what's given to us and make sure we get higher percentage. I'm just asking for a friend that maybe we were playing for the statistics, the high reward, high risk plays. Is that conceivable? Is it conceivable that you don't have a Noah Brown, you have a Brandon Cooks, that makes it more conceivable? And to be pissed off about the 35 turnovers in 31 games over 2 seasons, I get that. But not all those were on Dak. But even with that, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker on this one, okay? Even with that, they still averaged the most points in the NFL over the last 2 years with Dak Prescott. They still ended up being 12-5, making the playoffs 2 years in a row. It wasn't like he had those turnovers and they were the Texans' offense averaging 17 points a game. It wasn't like he had those turnovers and we were winning 6 games. They were still successful with that. So to say that those turnovers are going to drop you from 12 wins 2 years in a row with inferior talent to not making the playoffs? Okay, go on.
It's a bold decision to fire your offensive coordinator for scoring too many points. Nico, you agree with all this?
I'm with Canty on this one. Listen, at the end of the day, look at any Super Bowl winning or very high playoff team, high level playoff team. What's the one thing that they all have in common? Any team that gets far in the playoffs and a Super Bowl, and win a Super Bowl, their quarterback play is at another level. So you look at the Cowboys, this is going to be a huge year for Dak to step up. Yeah, he's got to step up, and he's going to have to make the throws. He's going to have to be in the top 5 throwing touchdowns. So I do believe that if he doesn't have a huge year, the Cowboys won't have a big year.
I just keep getting hung up on, like, find me 7 better NFC teams. That's the thing with the Cowboys. I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but it's like the NFC playoff field last year wasn't exactly, blowing you away. Jeremy, you mentioned in the last hour,
Let me also interject one other thing there, too. Matthew Stafford, when they won the Super Bowl, had 17 interceptions and I believe 6 pick sixes. 6 pick sixes. His play wasn't, he had 41 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, but his play wasn't that great. Now, he had weapons galore. Look at the wide receivers from Odell to, Jefferson, to, I can't think of his name right now. But look at the weapons that he had to throw to. Look at the defense that he had. It's not just the quarterback play, but go on.
picked the Cowboys as your DeAndre Hopkins destination. Why do you think he would help them?
Yeah, well, this is already an elite playoff team, elite defense. They run 20 deep. They can win and get into the playoffs. But this would be a spicy missing piece for Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy and DeAndre Hopkins. It just makes a lot of sense because CeeDee Lamb is clearly their #1 option. Dak Prescott needs a little more. You got Brandon Cooks as that vertical threat. That's his role. Now you need a guy who can play inside and out, be that sort of classic #2 option. And it just fits perfectly for an offense that will need it. Dak Prescott needs to limit turnovers. Hopkins would help.
And I agree with that one. I agree with that 100%. Great players help because Hopkins is not tipping up the ball to the defenders. But it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because the Cowboys are America's team to hate. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We got some work to do in the workshop on our kitchen island that I'm just excited about starting to put together and things. And I appreciate you guys. I hope everybody is having a great day. Be safe out there. And we're going to have more on the Dallas Cowboys as we get ready for training camp. Excuse me, not training camp, mini camp. Mini camp next week. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about this?